The story, based on Jason Statham's desire to kick some butt, begins in a barn where a beehive has formed. Bald beekeeper, Adam Clay, goes to seize a breeding ground for honey donors. The owner of the farm, Mrs. Parker, asked him, "By the way, our hero rents a house there." Mrs. Parker invites him to tea that evening. After the conversation, Adam gets rid of the bees in the barn using neon from a lamp and a stun gun. And then the former transporter continues to craft honey. At this time, Mrs. Parker sees on the screen that her computer is infected with a virus. To save the data, she must immediately call the number provided. The phone is picked up by Mickey, another fake security officer. That's right, the same scammers from fake Microsoft. But he is already a rabid swindler at the head of an entire corporation of the same kind. Mickey intimidates Mrs. Parker with stories that her data will disappear without a trace. To prevent this, she must install a new version of antivirus software. The woman's ignorance allows Mickey to convince her to go to the indicated address and download the antivirus from there. This gives the scammers access to Mrs. Parker's personal information. A retired schoolteacher, yet she has over $2 million in her account. That's a lot of money. To spin such a fat catch, Mickey pretends to pay compensation for the inconvenience, but mistakenly transferred $50,000 instead of $500. Mickey begs Mrs. Parker to wire back the difference. After checking the balance, the victim enters a password that is intercepted by the scammers. The computer shuts down, and the money is withdrawn to an anonymous account. Mrs. Parker realizes that she has become a victim of scammers. But there is nothing to be done. She should have put two-factor authentication long ago. Adam picks up a jar of honey to please the owner of the farm. He goes to visit, but no one answers the knock. After hearing the alarm, the man enters and turns it off. Just in case, he grabs a knife from the kitchen and goes into the next room. There's a gun on the floor with an empty shell casing and bloodstains. He is targeted by Verona Parker, the owner's daughter and an FBI agent. She arrests Adam, mistaking him for a thief. But after handcuffing him, she notices that her mother is sitting in the chair. She has sent herself to a parallel universe. When the police arrive, Verona accuses Adam of murder, even though he only brought honey. Yes, but he's just a beekeeper. The bald man is taken to the police station, and Verona looks around the house. She sees a laptop with an open page of cleared account. Her mother certainly didn't play poker. The next day, the cops bring the men back, no evidence of involvement in the murder found. Verona goes to the barn to apologize for the accusation, and invites Adam for a drink. During the conversation, it turns out that the scammers did not steal her mother's money, but the fund of the children's center she ran. Colleagues in the cybercrime unit say that even if they manage to track down the scummers, they are unlikely to be able to prove their guilt, because the lawyers will shut everything down. But there is an option: to ask Kit Boga for help. Well, kind of an option. Adam then goes to an apiary where he retrieves a hidden cell phone from the hive. He calls a former colleague to track down the criminals, but warns that the FBI has failed. Moments later, a former colleague calls with good news. Despite the thieves' clever encryption, she got their address. After grabbing 2 cans of gas, Adam heads to the office to talk serious business. At the entrance, he is greeted by security and asked who he voted for. The man says it's none of your business and starts kicking the guards. After that, Adam drags the canisters into the building. At the front desk, he asks the receptionist who ordered the gas and says set off a fire alarm. Soon he will set this office on fire, literally and figuratively. In the office, a man tells the scammers to stop stealing and not to buy Amazon gift cards. For persuasiveness, he performs a trick on the first person in sight, to show what awaits those who disobey. To prevent the scammers from returning to their illegal activities, Adam douses the area with gasoline. Adam is distracted by the guards led by Mickey. He tells the big guys to deal with the uninvited guest. Our hero shows some tricks again, and the guards themselves fall. After dealing with security, he scares Mickey and installs a bomb on the canister that will react to the first call from the next victim. Before he has time to drive away, an explosion destroys the office. The tough hero, honoring the tough guy code, doesn't even turn around. Mickey reports the incident to his boss, Derek Danforth, head of the eponymous company. To track down Adam, Derek turns to Westwild, Batman's former butler and now head of security at Danforth Enterprises. He tells him not to jerk him around for nothing. Derek tells Mickey to look for Adam by checking the company's recent operations, in case there is a connection. And when he does, he will show who is a pro and who is a noob. Mickey and a squad of thugs arrive at Mrs. Parker's farm, where they notice the stranger who caused the explosion. Unaware of the scale of the tragedy, they shoot at the hives in the apiary, signing their own death warrant. Bandits break into Adam's barn. As they wander between the shelves, the owner grabs one and threatens him with a screwdriver. Deciding not to dirty the instrument, the beekeeper strangles the mercenary. He gently breaks the other's neck before he can even make a sound. The third one sees Jason Statham in front of him and falls down himself, and the hero just kicks him. Mickey opens fire at the noise, but misses. To stop Mickey from fooling around, Adam cuts off his fingers with a saw and walks away, leaving him on the floor. A hungover Verona is called to the crime scene by her partner, to look at the bombed-out office of telephone scammers. They then receive a report of a fire at her mother's house, where Adam left several bodies. Thanks to the documents they found, the FBI realizes that the two cases are connected. Mickey from the drawbridge calls his boss to let him know they found him, and suddenly Derek hears a stranger attacking his man. He ties Mickey to a pickup truck and throws it off a bridge. Adam then picks up the phone and warns Derek that he will not survive these Hunger Games, and even Katniss will not save him. Derek goes back to Westwild. Westwild tells him that he resigned as director of the CIA at the personal request of Derek's mother, so he can take care of him. And he managed to incur the wrath of a beekeeper, a member of the nation's most secret intelligence agency, who is not even reported to the director of the CIA. How's that? The beekeeper isn't some kind of animated Freddy. Derek wouldn't last 5 days, not even 5 minutes with him. Westwild calls Jessica Danforth and informs her of the situation with her son. To resolve the issue, the former head of the CIA asks the current director of the bees to stop the beekeeper. But it turns out that Adam Clay quit a long time ago. But one of the beekeepers is sent after him. At the gas station, Adam's truck gets hit by a car. The driver is a girl, an active beekeeper. She opens fire on a former colleague and kills the police officers who pull up. Taking advantage of the hitch, Adam throws a hose on her and practices light strangulation with blows. Realizing that she can't take it out in a fight, the girl unsheathes the stationary machine gun in the back, just like in the game Back 4 Blood. But getting hit on the head with a jar of honey calms her down. Adam throws the Zippo and the remaining gasoline and the hose bursts into flames. While the enemy is being burned alive, a man picks up a dropped knife and cuts off a colleague's index finger, which he carefully folds into a small poly bag. Borrowing a truck from a random witness, he drives off again without turning around to see the gas station go up in flames. He's on his way to the shelter of a murdered colleague. Using the meat key in the bag, he enters into a shelter to resupply and make a plan to attack the office. Westwild is informed that the target could not be eliminated. The problem was not solved and the other beekeepers refused to interfere with their colleague. Westwild calls in a squad of mercenaries for protection. He explains that beekeepers obey no one. Their only goal is to take care of the hive. If the queen gives birth to sick offspring, the bees riot to kill her. It is suspected that Adam has a similar goal. Walking down a trail of corpses, Verona finds beekeepers' handbooks at a gas station. After analyzing Adam's route, he and his partner realize that he's headed to Boston, to Derek's office, where the scammers were controlled. The agents are invited to a meeting with the deputy director of the FBI. Verona shares her thoughts, and asks for a special forces unit to be issued for detention. The deputy does not share the version about the Secret Service of beekeepers, but he singles out the special forces. Outside the office building, the SWAT team collides with the mercenaries. They have orders to hold the fort inside while the FBI is outside. After dividing up their duties, the warriors split up. But then Adam brazenly shows up. He politely asks the SWAT team to get out of the way, but when they refuse, he is forced to beat them all up. He feels free to shoot into body armor, and hit tactical helmets with the elbow. After taking a hostage, Adam enters the building. Meanwhile, the scammers' manager asks Derek to call off the mercenaries, who prevent scammers from doing their job, to scam people. Having received their orders, the mercenaries leave to the joyful clapping of the scammers, among whom Adam was mingled. The beekeeper suggests they leave the building quietly, but the mercenaries return and start shooting. Adam hides in the corridors of the business center. Like a seasoned xenomorph, hiding on the ceiling and launching surprise attacks from above. After triggering the fire alarm, he attacks the mercenary leader, who unexpectedly did not pee his pants, but shoot his entire squad. Adam then beats him up, completing the fatality with a fire extinguisher. FBI SWAT team storms the building. Remembering the movie Home Alone, Adam, like Kevin, sets up a trap made of stretched cables. He manages to hide on the roof of the elevator when the SWAT team breaks in. The soldiers open fire, but miss Adam. When the bullets run out, the beekeeper detonates the elevator cable. The elevator rushes down, dragging the feds away. Those who manage to escape are pulled into the shaft by previously stretched cables. After taking care of an unfortunate nuisance, Adam visits the office manager to find out who is behind the crooks. He slaps him and gets the name, Derek Danforth. Before he leaves, Verona enters the office and convinces the beekeeper to surrender. But he prefers to leave, beating her partner on the way. At least the FBI finds out who the next target is, and they don't like it. Having learned that Adam has slipped away again, Westwild reports this to Jessica Danforth, who turns out to be no less the entire President of the United States. Verona informs the FBI deputy that the president's campaign was funded by her company, which was turned over to her son. That is actually stolen money. In addition, secret CIA developments were used for fraud. Now the beekeeper sets out to restore justice by targeting the defective queen of the hive. The FBI deputy orders not to tell anyone about this issue, and increases funding for the operation to capture the dangerous veteran. Derek goes to the presidential mansion where a party is planned. The Secret Service is in charge of security. Verona and his partner also arrive at the mansion. Westwild hires mercenaries led by Lazarus. He once survived an encounter with a beekeeper, but couldn't taste his honey. The president, Jessica Danforth, arrives by helicopter. Only Derek doesn't take the situation seriously, continuing to indulge in the well-known powder. While security guards check incoming trucks, Adam sneaks into the compound through a sewer drain, dressed in a Secret Service uniform. Like a ninja turtle climbing out of the sewers, he clings to the bottom of the truck, but not to get to the mansion that way. The beekeeper strangles the inspecting agent and switches places with him, wearing a balaclava for camouflage. While the guards flap their ears, Adam quietly minds the cars. He then changes into a decent suit in the bushes to look like a guest. An unidentified beekeeper wanders brazenly around the house, sniffing out targets. Verona notices the deputy director talking to the president, and suspects he is in cahoots with her. Later, the FBI deputy, the president, and her son meet in the office to discuss the pressing issue. Verona sees Adam among the guests and gives the order to capture him. In addition to the Secret Service, mercenaries also join the hunt. The FBI chases the beekeeper, confusing him with other guests, and not realizing that he's trapping them far away from the house. Lazarus wants to kill Adam by barely catching up, but Verona prevents him. The beekeeper waits right moment and activates the explosives. Taking advantage of the moment, he once again wounds Lazarus by shooting him in the jaw, after which he fights his way into the house, shooting everyone who interferes and does not touch those who do not interfere. He creates panic among the guests by firing into the air, after which he climbs the stairs at the speed of light. Already in front of the office, Lazarus attacks him. The mercenary manages to force a protracted battle, despite his wounds, and even manages to stab the beekeeper with a knife. But he deftly takes advantage and kicks out the prosthesis, after which he beats up a thug, and paints with a knife like Picasso on a canvas. Preparing to blow up the door, Adam ignores Westwild's admonition, preparing to restore justice. When he blocks the way, the beekeeper politely breaks the old man's hand. Sitting in her office, the president knows someone will come for them. She realizes that security isn't enough and proposes a new plan: confess everything to earn a chance for pardon. But a spoiled little boy doesn't like that. He takes a revolver from the drawer and shoots the FBI deputy. An explosion occurs. The beekeeper appears in a cloud of smoke, and the FBI runs out the other door. Derek holds his mother hostage, but that doesn't stop Adam. Glancing at the ocean outside the window, he turns to Verona, reminding her that Derek cannot be brought to justice for the death of her mother. Adam fires one clean shot straight into Derek's forehead, then he jumps out the window and runs away. Verona holds him at gunpoint, but lowers the gun in gratitude for him avenging her mother. Secret Service is chasing a runner, but he's prepared by hiding a diving suit beforehand. Probably wants to hunt Megalodon, or maybe just go fishing, who knows. The film ends here.